Hi everyone, this is Sephardic World.
So I beg your pardon.
Hi everyone, this is Sephardic World. We bring you weekly meetings on Sephardic genealogy and Sephardic history. And as always, we are thankful to our patrons who make all of this possible. And without them, we nowhere. And welcome to our patrons and welcome to our viewers on Facebook. And above all, welcome to our speaker for tonight, Florbela Veiga Frade, who will talk about the Portuguese nation of Antwerp and the Sephardic communities of Antwerp. And she will explain that those are maybe two different things, although they overlap. Florbela has done many years of research into the Portuguese Jews of Antwerp, of Hamburg and other places, and she is an expert in the field. So we are happy to have her with us tonight. Florbela, you may share your screen, or you have shared your screen and you can just start.
First, I want to thank David Mendoza and Tom Thielen for the invitation, and I have to thank to the people who financed my book. It was Cátedra de Estudos Sefarditas and Monique Benveniste, and also Instituto de Cultura Ibero-Americana Atlântica, perdão, Maria da Graça Ventura e Fátima Reis da Cátedra de Estudos Sefarditas. So I will start. Thank you for watching me. What were my difficulties doing this work? First of all, you have to excuse me my English. So if I pronounce bad the words, okay? So the difficulties were the lack of interest of this topic in academia. People didn't want to even doing this kind of search. The lack of documentation indexing. When we are researching in the archives, we have to have good indexing so we can search what we want, and the documentation are not very well correctly indexed. They are constant remodeling in the catalogs in the every archives and libraries, because what they think it is a good thing is to remodeling the catalogs, and then one document that we knew that had a certain reference changes the reference, and we are looking for that document that were very well cataloged before. The indexes in the archives are not don't match our needs. When we need, for instance, new Christians or something more specific, the catalogs and the index don't have this kind of indexation. The Inquisition of Amsterdam, for instance, almost the great majority of the processes in the Inquisition, we cannot see it. So it is information that is lost forever, because if people don't read it, if people don't know what is inside that processes, that information is dead. So it's sad to say this. And the sources are scarce for the second half of the 16th century, because as you know, we had an earthquake in the 18th century, and the documents that were in Casa dos Pontos in Lisbon disappeared. So we don't have anything about certain teams because everything was lost at that time. Everything, not everything. We have something, but not as good as the Spanish, for instance. They in Sevilla they have everything, and we don't have anything in comparison. What is my theoretic questions that I asked and tried to elaborate in my book? One of that question is, what is Nação Portuguesa, a Portuguese nation? Usually it's people with the same from the same country with the same interests. They usually were in universities, but it's applied also, this terminology is applied also to commercial ports like Bruges from Antwerp, Amsterdam, Hamburg, London, and Livorno. But they are the successors of this term of the Nação Portuguesa in universities like in Padua, in Paris, or elsewhere, because Nação Portuguesa, it's people from Portugal that are in a specific part. What is a nation, the nation Portuguesa, Portuguese nation, is also a commercial community. Like in Antwerp, we have several nations. We have the Portuguese nation, we have the Spanish nation, we have the English nation, German nation, the Genovese nation also. As you can see here, it's a book that is published in Antwerp, about Antwerp, a visit of Dom Philippe, Prince Dom Philippe. And as you can see, there are several nations there. There are La Nación de España, La Nación Española, La Nación Italiana, La Nación Portuguesa, La Nación Inglesa. Okay, so Nação Portuguesa, it's one of several. What is a Sephardic community? In Portugal and Spain, I think the Jewish communities in Portugal and its Jewish communities in Portugal and the several Spanish kingdoms before conversion. Usually they don't call themselves as Sephardic. In the other countries, what is a Sephardic community is related to Iberian Peninsula communities before conversion and Jewish communities that had roots in Sepharad. What are the Jewish communities with roots in Sepharad? In Europe, they are mainly new Christians that had Jewish ancestors, conversos to Judaism. The communities were known as Nação Portuguesa or Nação Portuguesa Espanhola, such as Amsterdam, Hamburg, London, Livorno, where else? In Ottoman Empire, where people could follow the Jewish religion, they are mainly Jews from Sepharad that were expelled, and the communities were known by the cities or kingdom from where people came from. So we have the Lisbon, the Évora community, the Castilla community, where else? What is the Sephardic identity in modern era? Jewish people in Iberian Peninsula since the 2nd century that was expelled in 1492 in Spain and 1496 in Portugal. Jewish people who stayed and was obliged to convert first to baptism in Terreiro do Passo and all over Portugal, where people waited for ships to go to other places, and there were no ships to transport that people. What happened to that people? Some priests with água benta, they split água benta for those people, and then they stayed Christians. Okay, this type of baptism was done everywhere in Portugal at more or less at the same time. The descendants, what is also the Sephardic identity in modern era, descendants from Jewish families were taken from their parents after the expulsion and raised by Christian families. What happened to those people who were converted into Terreiro do Passo? They were converted, and they were told that if they stayed like that, they could maintain their children with them. If not, if they stayed in Judaism, the children they took the children from them, and then they were raised by Christian families. This is a specific episode that only happens in Portugal, not in Spain. Okay. Those who stayed in Portugal because the children and their possessions could be taken. They said also, if you stay, you can stay with your children and your possessions. If you leave, you don't have anything, and then you can go, but you left everything here. What is a Sephardic also at this time is those who exiled in several other countries in Europe and in the Mediterranean. People who could leave, they leave, but seeing this kind of situation, what people could do. What is a new Christian? In Portugal, a new Christian are those who were forced to baptism in the 15th century. And they are also those who descend from Jews and new Christians. This word, new Christian, is used in Portugal till the 18th century. Some 16 generations afterwards of this forced baptism, people were known by new Christian. Okay? In Spain, what happened? In Spain, people were obliged to baptism in 15th century, and they have the new Christians that came from Portugal. The new Christian phenomenon is a Portuguese phenomenon. In these theoretic questions, I had to ask what is the private and the public sphere in the society. Hannah Arendt says that the private sphere and the public sphere are almost the same, because the home and economic activities are located in the same place. The common good applies to family and society, and there is one religion and one political power. So it's merged, political and public and private. What is the private and the public sphere of new Christians? In the private, we only have it's the space for family and friends linked by bonds of trust. They shared the Moses law. In the private public sphere, the private life is ruled by Catholic religion. The casa, home, includes family, servants, slaves, associates, and associates in their activities and correspondence. In the public, the house has an international scale of connection. So it's a little bit different, the new Christians' world from the rest of the society, okay? To me, at least. How could the Jews and new Christians exit from Portugal? They had to ask for permission and pay 500 cruzados. It's to have a notion. 600 cruzados. It is 30 years of revenue of common people, and it's not easy to have this kind of money. What are the solutions? The clandestine travel, and then some pardons that costed also money. In November in the 1535, there is a pardon that cost 5,000 escudos. In 1547, another pardon. The expedition to Africa made by Dom Sebastião in Portugal was paid by new Christians, so so they could live, and that costed 225,000 cruzados. And then another, and you can see the other pardons, what they cost for those who were descendants from Jews till 1630. Okay. What are the commercial net of the Portuguese in the 16th century? We have at the top, we have Lisbon, that was connected with Porto, and we have Antwerp as a link in the net that was important. But Antwerp had some subsidiaries that were Amsterdam and Middelburg. So those Dutch places were under Antwerp Portuguese jurisdiction. Okay, you understand. What were the nations in Lisbon commerce? I'm a little bit confused now, right now. The nations in Lisbon were several. One of them was Italian, another German, and from Burgos, Flemish, Spanish, English, Irish, Hollanders, or Dutch. The most known Italian are Affaitadi, Giraldi, Frescobaldi, and the German were the Fugger, Welser, Imhoff, and Kron. Burgos were Aro or Malvenda. The most important thing to attain is that Affaitadi were a little bit enemies of the Fugger, and the first Portuguese in Antwerp were related to Affaitadi and Giraldi. So And in the 17th century, what was the Portuguese-Spanish commercial net? We have the Rota do Cabo that had the goods that were commerced in these places, and we have I don't know how to say in English, but it's a connection between Lisbon and Madrid. We have, but we have also the connection between Lisbon, Évora, Elvas, that connected to Madrid, and Porto is always linked to Portugal, to Lisbon. Sorry. So we have here this kind of commercial transactions in the 16th century, and we have these kind of transactions in the 17th century. The commercial net of all that is made by is among market, cities, entrepot, local nets, regional nets, and international nets. What is the factory and consulate in Antwerp? Antwerp is a successor of Bruges from the Middle Ages. The factory was in Bruges, and then they moved to Antwerp. The factory of Portugal is a factory of the Portuguese king and crown, and the factory was ruled by a factor that was a nobleman. It is a difference because the consulate was usually a merchant, and he represented every Portuguese in that place. There are several periods of Antwerp. One from 1512 till 1549, another one from 1550 till I don't have here the dates, and we have here the same the periods of they are different periods in Antwerp. The last one was patrocinated by the Jesus Company, because Rui Mendes was a new Christian, and he ruled the factory and the Antwerp nation as a consul, and it was not well seen by the religious authorities. How is Antwerp a refugee of new Christians? Because in 1526, Charles V gave a letter to the new Christians, stating that they could stay in Antwerp and travel to Germany and other places. And then in 1540, we have a list that was made by the city rulers, the magistrates, that have 20 marranos there. However, a edit of 1540 and 1545 refers that there are several families that had religious conduct, the different religious conduct, Jewish practice, and so. And there is pressure to expel that persons. But the magistrates, the rulers of the city, intercede in favor of the new Christians. But what happened meanwhile? In the decade of 1530, several people were persecuted there because they were new Christians. Some of them, you know the names, mainly Nuno Henriques and Diogo Mendes. Diogo Mendes is from Mendes Benveniste, as you know, and Nuno Henriques is also a person that belongs to the Afaitadi consortium and Mendes consortium also. But the other ones you don't know. I think you don't know their names, but they were also persecuted. Nuno Henriques was imprisoned, and they have to pay money for his release. And Diogo Mendes was also imprisoned. So in 1549, there is an expulsion of the Marranos. And at the same time, the Portuguese factory abandoned Antwerp. And it begins the consulate of the merchants. This consulate of the merchants is the German, the beginning of the structure that is afterwards used in Amsterdam and other places. What is a house? A family. A family house is the extended family, including those who served, like the criados and slaves. The commercial house included apprentices, bookkeepers, I think it's the name, agents, merchants, everyone related to the commercial house. Both were known by the head of the house. They commerced diverse goods, like goods, and they made public and private loans. They made insurance. They buy real estate values. They did patronage as an investment, and they had an international organization. What is the patronage that we know in Antwerp of the Portuguese nation? At left we have the slave of João Brandão, the first consul in Antwerp, and at right we have Gracia Nassi, as you know, it's very known, of Pastorino Pastorini, but they were patrons of this kind of art. The left is Albert Dürer, as you know. And what they did also, when the princes or aristocrats visit, the governors of the Antwerp visits Antwerp, usually the nations made arch in wood. The Portuguese nation made this one, and those sculptures and paintings that were inside the arch and outside in front, as you can see, were made by Peter Paul Rubens, and some sculptures were of other known sculptures at the time. This is another arch of the Portuguese nation, but there are several others of the other nations that you can find in this book. But this one is the Portuguese one that has also sculptures and is also painted in this one. I don't know the painter that did it, this kind of painter, but I know it was painted and was sculptured by and it is in the books of the Portuguese nation is said what they paid for this. and for the musicians. And they also patronage books. As you can see, it's one of the books that they paid for. One. And we have here the obras pias. What is obras pias? Usually, Bolsa da Nação, it was like a tzedakah. They collect money to give to the needs, to people who need it. But this one is an institution for orphans and widows that was paid only by the Rodrigues de Évora family. But usually the Bolsa da Nação had this kind of intervention, contribution to the people. Now we start with the families and the people that were in Antwerp. Here we have the Duarte family. It is a curious painting because you have at the right, we have a priest. I think it's Jesus Company, I don't know, but this family is very important to Antwerp. They are new Christians. They were very well-known musicians and singers, and they also take part of Academia of the Violette. They presented art and theater and music and so on. What are the elite of people of the mercantile elite in Antwerp? They are all these families that you can see, and it's not all of them, but these people, as you can see, you have several names that have Évora and Elvas. That I showed you before in the net of a commercial net. So these people were from there, and we have these people were new Christians, all of them, and what names they adopt in the Jewish community: Abendana, Benveniste, Cohen, Abilho, Israel, Negro, Senhor, Toro. They are new Christians with. And to show you one family that people say it is the same as Menos Benveniste, but it is not the same. I can in here you can see it. You have a Portuguese rabbi called Sakuan, and here we have a Spanish rabbi, Abraham Senor. This rabbi was the first generation after baptism, and as you can see, it at least 6 generations to the link of the two rabbis. This is done. This marriage is done during when they could not practice Judaism in Portugal. So why do it? Okay. And everybody here, I don't know if I cannot zoom this, but these people here in the bottom are in the Jewish communities of Amsterdam, Livorno, Venice, Hamburg, everybody here. So they are connected to those 2 rabbis. Okay. What are the family relations of Mendes de Brito? Abraham Senior from Castile, Mestre Sá Cohen from Portugal, and they adopted a Jewish surname, Cohen and Abendana. What are the Christians for names? Carlos, Mendes, Nunes, Dias, Tovar, Castro, Guterres, Henriques, Silva, Lopes de Brito, Mendes de Brito e Coronel. What were the strategy to accent socially? The social and religious endogamy till the top of the merchants class, the bourgeoisie, I don't know the name, because the marriage strengthens business relationships. And afterwards, exogamy, when the top of the bourgeoisie is achieved, marriage with aristocrats. So we have several big merchants that married their children to aristocrats. What they tend to have service to the king, to the magistrates, and to princes. Vassal obedience to the king, expecting protection and other positions. They made loans to king, to royal family, and other courtiers. And they obtain and offer exotic and rare goods essential for the demonstration of power. So they could have diamonds and birds that were very exotic to do that. What we have of power, conflict, and cooperation. In conflict, we have the religion's intolerance, control of religious behavior by the Inquisition, church and society, and a creation of a whistleblower mentality. We still have it. We have a coercive political and religious power. And we have social discrimination of the new Christian merchants for the activities they performed, such as usury, medicine, international trade. What we have from cooperation: the union of the followers of Moses' law, the reaction to forced conversion and coercive power, the strengthening family ties, friendship and cooperation. The family and the commercial and financial homes are based on new Christian family networks. Marriage ensures solid success, business relationship. The Portuguese nation of Antwerp is a model to the organization of Jewish communities such as Amsterdam, Hamburg, Lisbon, London, New York. The Bolsa da Nação used to help the need and patronage. They could judge of civil questions, and it was a protection to refugees from Portugal. So I rest my case, and it is a little bit of what is in the book, because I didn't speak about Mendes Benveniste, because it is very very well known, I think, and the other families are not so known as Mendes Benveniste. So I'm open to your questions.
Thank you. That was excellent. Can I ask? from well, really from my own perspective, that these are rich families pursuing their own interests. Was it just coincidence that they ended up helping poor families, indeed such as my own, or do you think that was their intention the whole time?
I didn't understand your question. It is
okay. These are rich families.
Yeah.
And these are rich families looking after their own interests.
Yeah.
But in the end, they ended up helping poor families. Yeah. I mean, families like my own. Yeah. Was that what they planned to do from the start, or was this just a coincidence, or do we know?
To me, I think it is an obligation. I think a must do of people who have money to help those who have needs, and to escape from Portugal, for instance, and go to elsewhere. So I think they do that because they wanted to do, and they must do it. I think it's mandatory to. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yes, because it's interesting because Abraham Senior is quite a controversial person within Judaism. So Abarbanel, who left, is seen as the good guy, and Coronel, who was, I think, 84 or something, and stayed and converted, as seen as the bad guy. And yet it seems to be, if I understand correctly, his descendants and his descendants' money that actually create this Western Sephardic world. And I'm not quite sure where the Barbanels are. They're sort of on the beach in Italy or somewhere. I don't know.
One of them, yeah. One of them, because as I showed you the other one, the Saco and from Portugal, and there are others. I showed that, but the majority are descendants from Abraham Senior. It's a great,
Ton.
But he had 80 years old. What the man could do.
Exactly.
You had the Portuguese nation of Antwerp. Can you be sure that all of them were new Christians?
No. They were not all new Christians. The great majority were new Christians, but there were old Christians also.
And who knows what people believe in their hearts. It's interesting to me that they could also judge members of their own nation. But only in several cases, I believe. It's the same in Amsterdam. But they could not punish people.
No. Only the city magistrates would do it. But in cases of commercial problems or testaments and so, they could intervene. And they intervened. They did intervene.
Yes. Did you also make use of the notarial archives of Antwerp? Okay.
Because they buy several houses in Langmustraat, Meir, several other places in Antwerp, and transactions were made in the notaries. So.
And these are all online now, those notarial archives, but they were not online when you did your research. Did you go to Antwerp yourself?
Yeah, I stayed there for 1 month or two. I don't.
It's a very nice city.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
do you have detailed origins of the Tauro family?
Of the?
Toro.
Yeah.
I believe they were the Veigas.
Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
There are several Vegas, but I think they are connected with each other. They are Rodrigues Veiga and Fernandes Veiga, and they are only Veiga. But I think they were all connected. But I didn't find the connection.
Those new Christians, were they openly Jewish in Antwerp?
No, of course not, because we are in a Catholic country. If you so they are znogas in the houses. There are several znogas in Antwerp. One of them was the Sisters Veiga, and other was in Cáceres family, and other was in Costa family. But the Cáceres was connected with Milão. I think you know the people. Milão were connected with Ajax, the rabbi, the Hacham of Hamburg, you know. So the Cáceres are connected to Milão, and Milão are connected to the Hacham of Hamburg. So they are those three, at least three znogas in Antwerp, and they buy meat from Amsterdam, kasher meat, and they did fasts, and they joined in those places.
There seems to have been a large migration from Antwerp to Amsterdam. 1640, 1650, the Pintos, Curiels, and others. Why was that?
Because of that question that I said before, people were persecuting new Christians there in Amsterdam, and the ports were attacked by pirates at the same time, and the commercial transactions were difficult to do at that time. So people left for Germany, Italy, Ottoman Empire, and but at one first period they went to Antwerp to run away from Portugal, and they were welcome, but afterwards the things were worse, and they had to leave. Some of them, others stayed, but they paid the price to. If you want to stay, you have to be Christians.
Okay. Someone asks, where did you find the genealogy of the Brito family? Was it in As Relações Económicas e Sociais das Comunidades Sepharditas Portuguesas, o Trata e a Família? I believe you wrote that yourself.
Yeah, I wrote that thesis. So it's mine, but I had to search everything because it's a complicated family, and we know what we know is that in the late in the decade of 60, the mother of one of Menjabrit was imprisoned by the Inquisition, but afterwards that file disappeared, and then we can now see it, and he asked for mercy. I don't know the name in English, but mercy from the king, and he earned it. And but he had to forget that file and to put and to, I don't know the name in English, but
you found the file again?
I find the file, and then I put I saw the parents and the sisters and the brothers, and then I saw it's the same person, because it has the same brothers and everything. And then one of those Jewish descendants from Amsterdam ran away from Amsterdam and went to Portugal, and he related everything to the Inquisition.
Yeah.
Which person was brother of who, and then I put that together and construct that genealogy.
I believe Bernard Miller raises his hand. Can you unmute him, David?
Yes, quickly. Can I ask a question first, because there's also lots of questions being asked on YouTube. In terms of these were merchants, and you mentioned pepper trading, which I assume that comes from India or Asia.
Yeah.
But somebody is also asking about Brazil in terms of, wood and gold and precious stones. Was there a Brazilian trade at this point?
The commercial goods are several from different parts of the world, namely from Brazil and India and Africa, and every port that Portuguese were trading.
Yeah.
So there are several goods, like it was wood, it was diamonds, it was pearls, it was cochonilha. I don't know the name in English, but it is a little bug that gave the red color to everything.
Yes.
They trade that. So they trade tissues. They trade everything that gave money. They trade it.
Okay, so. Thank you. But Bernard, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, A, for the talk, and B, for all the work that you've put into researching and joining the bits together. It's absolutely fascinating. I have a couple of questions. One, how far forward in time does your research go? And I'm asking specifically because my grandparents married in Antwerp in 1908. But they were both working in very menial jobs, but in what was then the diamond industry. And I wondered at what point diamonds became so prominent in the economic structure of Antwerp, but also around that time, there was no Sephardic synagogue. There was a period of about a decade when they had, the Sephardic Jews were either holding services at home or using the Ottoman Cultural Center for holding services, which I found fascinating. And I wondered whether you had found evidence of interaction between the non-Jewish, non-New Christian Ottoman citizens in Antwerp in your research. Thanks.
My research is 15 and 16, 16 and 17th century. So I don't go till 17th century. So I don't know very well what happened afterwards. But what I can say is at that time what they did, and what they did was that kind of thing is to join in a certain family house to do, to pray, to fast, to celebrate, but only the people they trust and their family, their close friends, so people that were very of a specific group. So the diamonds, I don't know. I only can say the Duarte family was related to diamond trade. They even financed jewelries and the making of the jewels, but it's the only thing that I know. But there are others that traded diamonds. I think if you buy my book, you have in the hand you have the goods that they had. The commercial there.
Yeah. So, okay. Florbela. Florbela, can you go back to the first slide and tell us how we can buy your book?
You can buy my book in here in the Colibri, the Colibri PT, and then you can. The Colibri has a site, and there is my book. But if you ask for it in this email address, they will answer you.
The email is not on the screen.
No,
with me it is.
Oh, okay, then it's just my screen. Okay, fine. We actually have a question asking if there's going to be an English edition.
No, but if anybody translated, could you translate?
Can we go? We have a lot of questions on YouTube. Perhaps we can just look through some of those. Somebody's asking about accepting Ashkenazim. I don't suppose there were any Ashkenazim there. So somebody also asking why the people in the paintings aren't swarthy in complexion. I'm afraid we're not all swarthy. They're asking why Sephardim aren't dark. I think a lot of people think we're sort of very dark, which we're not really. Maria Ventura from the Instituto de Cultura Ibero-Atlántica sends her congratulations. Interesting question. Is there any research on Jews who went from Antwerp to Hamburg?
Sorry?
Is there any research on Jews or people who went from Antwerp to Hamburg in Germany?
Yeah, I did. I did it. My postdoc was about the Jews who were in Hamburg. And then the first part of my postdoc was about the community, and I wrote several articles and presentations about it. But then I started to look for the production, the literary production of Hamburg, and then I was amazed with the sermons. And with the medicine literature that was made by Portuguese Jews of Hamburg, namely Castro, the father of gynecology, and there are other doctors. But I wrote about what people wrote in the community of Hamburg, and the grammars. I studied the Hebrew grammars of Hamburg and Amsterdam. They are the same, used in the synagogue.
There is another question. Actually, it relates to what we said in our marketing material. Please elaborate your statement. Without Antwerp, there may have been no Western Sephardic diaspora. And I should correct my English. It should be without Antwerp, there might have been no Western Sephardic diaspora. And perhaps that's unfair to put to Florbela, because Ton and I put in, but maybe Florbela, you can comment on this. My assumption is that Antwerp was just a necessary stage in the development of the Western Sephardic world.
Yeah. To me, Antwerp is the beginning of a process that ended at the Jewish communities in several other places. Namely, Antwerp is the mother, if we can say that, is the mother of Amsterdam and Hamburg. And because people went there directly from Antwerp, and others not, of course, but without Antwerp helping people escaping from Portugal, financing boats to take new Christians from Portugal and to join those Jewish communities, I think it was a very important place, and that financed those kind of activities. So maybe it's a strong idea, but a strong phrase. But I think Antwerp, it's like a mother to the other Jewish communities, at least Hamburg and Amsterdam.
Can you comment on other places? You mentioned Bruges, and then Rouen in France was significant for a time. Were the connections? I'm not, this early period I'm very unclear about.
So as I told you before, there are several nations that went to port cities and to commerce, to make commercial transactions. And in Portugal, we have several that I said, but the Portuguese went also to other places. One of them was Bruges, but in the Middle Ages, that started to the port. I don't know the name in English, but the land started to take the river, and there were no navigation of the ships, and the navigation of the ships was the most important thing to the transaction. So Bruges was falling down, and then Antwerp, the Charles V and the magistrate of Antwerp called the Portuguese to Antwerp, and the Portuguese went there, and the first the consul was João Brandão, that was in Bruges and moved to Antwerp, and then the other merchants and the other houses, the commercial houses, not only Portuguese but other nations, went there too. So Antwerp started to be a very important commercial port, mainly after the the goods that came from Rota do Cabo. Rota do Cabo is Portuguese route to Brazil, Africa, and Asia. So they came with goods that nobody have, and the paper monopoly belonged to Portuguese king. Only the Portuguese king could sell paper, and so the factor of Antwerp had to assure that the monopoly of paper was very well managed, and the prices were established by him. So it was a central figure at that time. So the factor was always an aristocrat and a nobleman.
Thank you.
I answered your question.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hugely complicated. It's hugely complicated. So something you said in passing, and it was quite amused me. I just want to check that the crusade of Dom Sebastião, who's the king of Portugal, who got himself killed in Morocco. That was basically money taken from New Christians.
Yeah.
Money well spent, maybe.
So the money was spent. The money was paid by the New Christians and was spent, but some pardons that could was paid also was a huge amount of money. So you can think the capacity of those people to pay those huge amount of money to so people could go away from Portugal only just to do that. So you have Antwerp as a refugee port, but we have a huge support group in Portugal that was that wanted to pay that amount of money so people could refugee from fly away from Portugal, not fly away, but run away.
Flee away. Flee.
Yeah.
Are there more questions on Facebook? Or
there seem to be quite a lot of questions here, but perhaps we should quite soon. Let me have a look.
Was the René David Levi Maduro asks, was there any direct relationship between Antwerp and the Caribbean congregations of Curaçao and other islands and Suriname?
During my research of Antwerp, I didn't find that connection, but I think it's a connection of Amsterdam essentially. Amsterdam was very linked to Curaçao, but as I said before, the families were the same. So if they were not connected with Curaçao, somebody of the family was. So I don't know exactly what to answer that.
This whole situation took place within obviously a political environment. I slightly, and I don't know if this is right, have the impression that perhaps Charles V, who by this point is King of Spain, is more sympathetic to these new Christians because he controlled Antwerp, whereas maybe the King of Portugal was less sympathetic. Is that correct, or just it wasn't relevant?
To me, I don't know, because Charles V wanted those people in Antwerp, but afterwards he gave the opposite idea, because the people had to, they were expulsed from there, because people were saying that they were not good Catholics, and so, and maybe he broke off from the pressures of the people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what happened was they imprisoned several people from Portugal because they were new Christians when they were supposed to be protected by that letters that Charles V gave to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a question a little bit ambiguous, I think.
There are several people asking for your email address. What was it again? Then I'll type it in chat. Florbela V.
Arroba. I don't know the name in English. gmail.com.
Okay.
We had a question. Sorry, we had a question. Was Ton is typing that on YouTube. Somebody was asking whether there's been any sort of DNA research on families in Antwerp, but presumably those families that moved on from there to other places will members may have been picked up by the Avatenu DNA project. So so there's millions of questions. Do you come across other surnames of Jews who resided in Antwerp before leaving for other port cities? That's to say, is the list of names you provided, is that a complete list, or were there other families as well?
Sorry, I didn't listen.
You gave a list. You gave a list of families in Antwerp. A list of names, family names. Is that all the families there? Or
no. It's only the families that were linked to Mendes de Brito. Only that family. So the other families have other amount of families that were related to. So
do you know what the total? What would the total New Christian population have been? Is that possible to estimate?
I made an estimation. Estimate. Multiplying for 4.
Yeah.
Because we have a list of the people of the Nação, but they are the heads of the family. So at least that person had more 3 or 4 persons in their family. So I multiplied for 4, and the number, the number was 500 persons.
It's a lot.
But it's the top of the maximum people that were there. But the list were 20 or something. But as you know, in 1540 they were listed 20 Marranos, only the Marranos, 20. So those Marranos maybe had their family too. So 20 multiplied for 4. At
Not
least
much.
80 Marranos.
Yeah.
No, but it's estimate. It's a number that was calculated. It's not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we shall we start to wind up?
Yeah.
We've gone over a little bit. Can I mean, before Ton winds up, can I just first of all say thank you for doing this research, because it's just almost the missing link in the history. It's really, really valuable, and obviously I encourage everyone to buy and to read Florbela's book. It's I think a really important addition to the canon.
Somebody asked for my email. I will put my email.
Ton has shared it in the chat, and I'm not going to share it publicly on YouTube, but if anyone on YouTube wants it, just contact us and we can happy to share it. Ton, over to you.
Well, thank you, Florbela, for a lively talk and for giving us many insights into this community of new Christians. And thank you to our patrons who are with us on Zoom tonight. And thank you to all our viewers on YouTube. And we don't have a speaker yet for next week, so stay tuned to our messages. And I hope to see you all next week.
Thank you, everybody.